Good morning and good evening, all of you, for this Get to Know series session. Yeah, so with this, we'll get started with today's session. I'm Padma, who will be hosting the session, and for the past 3 days, you've been knowing the features that are actually available in Creator 6. So you've been seeing how you could build a solution using the apps, then how you could also create solutions based on the BI and analytics, and also some of the microservices where you could create connection, write integration tasks, and you could also make use of the webhook calls using those connection strings, and also some of the unified data sources, which is going to be a really advantageous when you have to really integrate with many data sources. Where right now in Creator 6, we have introduced 50 plus data sources which you could use within your Creator applications. So when we talk about the microservices, we come to know the seriousness and the importance of integration. So it's not just building a solution. When you say that you are building a solution, you just don't create the components within the applications in the Creator platform. You will extend its capability further by integrating it with other different SaaS products, cloud-based SaaS products, where you will need to write integration code. So now just imagine with all this in place already in Creator, you're using the integration tasks, connection strings to establish all those kinds of connections, and then you have the data source. Now just imagine what if you're also given an integration platform, a cloud-based integration platform, which is going to be part of Creator 6 itself, where you could seamlessly set up an integration environment just by a mere drag and drop and mapping of the fields. And when necessary, you can do the coding. But mostly, if you could achieve it just by using the actions or using the actions visible under the defined apps, SaaS based products, say in Zoho Flow. We know that this integration platform is already supporting 650 plus applications, cloud based SaaS applications, which includes the Zoho suite of products plus other important third party applications. And it doesn't stop there. Today it is 650 plus, and it's going to keep increasing. Just imagine that inside Creator 6, you have whole lot features available. You could do wonders as far as the integration is concerned. So the integration capability is very well extended, and it is improvised and well placed inside Creator 6. So, with this, I would say that today's session is going to be focused on this integration flow, which is provided as a solution by Creator 6. So, before getting into the details of the session, I have a few announcements to be made. All the attendees will be on mute. So, please post your questions in the question tab and not in the chat tab so that we don't want to miss out on your questions. Then a recording of a session will be sent to all attendees. Participate in the polls and surveys, as because the feedbacks that you provide gives us a very good idea on restructuring our forthcoming sessions. Okay. So what was the agenda? So what are we actually going to talk about or in this training session? A quick overview of Zoho Flow. So that it's like I'll be repeating the possibilities of that service, Zoho Flow, but getting to know that would actually appreciate will you will start appreciating it to use it within Creator 6 better. So that's the reason why I'm giving a quick overview of what Zoho Flow is, what are the components available inside, how do you configure, how it basically works, and then we'll slowly get into how you could use that inside Creator 6. So it is not like a separate service there, right? So that you need to remember, and few demonstrations of how I'll be using this integration flow or Zoho flow provided as a solution by Creator 6. And few key points that you need to remember as a developer when you try to build solutions. Okay, then what is Zoho Flow? You all know about it. It is a cloud based integration platform which will enable you to set up the integration with multiple cloud based apps in a easy, seamless manner, because it has got its own builder with a mere drag and drop. And it is going to reduce your time and effort in order to set that environment, integration environment. And also you have already 650 plus apps. Imagine you have the capability of integrating with so many apps, all available inside Creator 6. And I would say with this kind of builder, where it's a mere drag and drop and configuration, you don't need to write lines and lines of code where you need to properly form the map data and then see whether you're passing the map data appropriately in this expected structure through the API calls. When necessary, you could do that. But in cases where it is not necessary, you could as well use this feature. So this is like a very good add-on to your creator platform. So how it works? It starts with a trigger. So you would have created a flow. So there should always be some starting point, right? When I want this flow to be triggered, so that the rest of the other actions would follow it. And then followed by the actions as I said. So with the 2 points that you need to remember as far as the integration flows or the Zoho flows concerned is the triggers and action. So the trigger is a starting point, action is the rest what you do in the flow. So the action, so we'll get into the details. So the triggers. So how do you actually want to kickstart the triggers? So kickstart the particular flow. How do you want to trigger it? Whether you want to trigger it when you do some kind of data entry or update a data in a particular application, which we call as app-based trigger, or you are in a third-party application, you are actually performing some actions inside data manipulation inside the third-party application, and the result of which you want to trigger a flow from within Creator 6. There, how do you do that? So we make use of the concept called webhook. So webhook triggers, what it does is that the flow actually gives us a custom URL when you try to configure this webhook triggers, and you will be passing the appropriate values, that data that needs to flow into that workflow in the form of payload to this webhook. So that's the way it starts. It triggers, and then the rest follows. The third type of trigger is schedule. And from the word, it is very clear that you want to execute a flow based on some kind of a periodicity, some frequency, defined frequency. So there is some defined frequency inside Zoho Flow, which is now going to be a solution provided by Creator 6 itself. So now, next comes the actions. So as part of actions, what all will be part of it? Whether you might have triggered by doing some data manipulation in an application, but you would also need to update some value in another application. You would have started with Creator, for example. You wanted to do some update in CRM, or you want to do data push into QuickBooks, or you want to do some trigger into the what do you call the Twilio kind of other apps. So it depends upon the kind of app that you want the data to be pushed to. So there, if you want to do some update when it comes to CRM, or if you take QuickBooks, there you will want to push the data. So those actions, the create or update, so that is part of an action. Then you will want to set a variable. Say, for example, you get a data either through app trigger or through web triggers. Either way, you get the data, but you want to actually format the data. And this happens mostly with the date, because you know that across applications, the date format is different, right? Sometimes it will have its own format, and the application will accept only in the particular format. So before sending the data, that just comes in through the trigger or webhook to that application, you need to check if that is the format expected by the destination application. Accordingly, you will have to format the entire data, and maybe you can set it in a variable. And if you know for sure that you will need to use this variable across the flow, this setting this variable option would help you. So you can make use of it anytime within the scope of that flow. And then comes the decision, say, and especially when it comes to a flow, workflow. And we know that everything happens based on some decision. That is, you want to reroute the flow pattern. Excuse me. So you want to reroute the flow pattern, say based on some kind of status decision. When the status is delivered, you want to do some set of actions. When the status is in progress, you want to do some set of actions. So all that decision making is also possible using an action called decision. Delays. So there are cases where you might actually need to provide a delay before either pushing a data or verifying a data to do some kind of use case to meet the particular use case. So that is also possible using an action called delay, which is present as part of the logic actions. Then comes the custom functions. So the custom functions are basically written for the scenarios where I was telling you about formatting the date, formatting the string data. So, or some kind of business logic that you want to perform before pushing the data into the respective other applications. There you could use the custom function. This is a common way to use a custom function. You can actually rethink of using custom function, not just for formatting and business logics, which is a common thing, but also to perform certain actions like say file handling. Like you want to upload a file somewhere, you want to move a file from one app to the another app. Or another scenario is when you have the line items, especially that is the most crucial part you can think of. Say when you have creator and you have say Zoho books or inventory or invoice kind of application, or even QuickBooks, where you have the orders, you want to push the orders from one to the other. So if you take any order, it is not just one data, right? One column data. You will have line items inside in the form of subform. So there, uh, right now with Flow, we can't directly map it. So what you will be doing here is, in the place of just using the action of just posting, mapping the data to the fields, you will write a custom function where you will be using the API calls, and you will in turn use the connection string. So that is another way to think of using custom functions. And there is one more thing which I've missed to mention in the actions, that is set notifications, sending notifications in the form of email. So that is also part of the action. So out of all the actions that I have listed right now, the create or update data, then the delay, custom function, all send mail, all these will be considered as a task. And if you take the set variable or if you take decision, they don't come under the task category. Similarly, when you take a flow, it starts with a trigger. So even the trigger point is also not considered as a task. Okay, you will wonder why I always say this is task and this is not task. You all know that as far as the flow is concerned, how you make use, how do you define the flow in a better way so that the as per the plan, based on the plan of the product, the service, you will have the task consumption. So many number of tasks are allowed per plan, so on and so forth, right? Like the API calls, what you do for the products also. Here you should be aware that how you are consuming the tasks. So that's the reason why I'm saying which is a task, which is not a task, so that you could as well plan your solutions better. So this is what I want to tell you as a quick overview of what Zoho Flow is. Yeah. Now, we saw what Zoho Flow is. Now, what is it as a solution inside Creator 6? So once you get into Creator 6, I'll be taking you to the platform right now, before which I just want to walk you through a few steps. So once you get into the Creator 6, once you log into Creator 6 environment, you will be having the solution option section where you will go and create a solution. So when you click on create a solution, you would be seeing all the three options. So the last option that you see would be the integration flows, which is nothing but you're going to build the flows using the service, Zoho Flow service. Say this is the very first time you're going to use Creator, you have the Creator 6 now, but you don't have the Zoho Flow license at all of that same email address. It's going to be the first time. Then you would as well use the Zoho Flow service, what is available along with this Creator 6. So you, in that case, when you log in and you try to create a solution, you, when you mouse over it, you hover your mouse over this option called integration flow, you will be directly given an option to say select this function, sorry, this solution, and go ahead and create. Say you already have a license or the same email ID, then when you hover your mouse, you will get this option ready to map your account. So that means if you already have a license of that based on that email address, Zoho Flow license, I meant, okay, that can be associated to your Creator 6 environment. That means you would have built a lot of solutions, lot of flows inside that create a Zoho Flow account, and you could as well associate it here. Once you associate it here, you will get everything right into your Creator 6 environment. So this will be the next step when you say ready to associate. Then you will map your account name and you will just click associate, and that's it. The job is done. So this is what I want to quickly show you, how you could use the existing license, associated that with this platform. Next, moving on to accessibility and usage. Now that you know that you could create a solution, you need to know who is eligible to create a solution as integration flow. So if you take a super admin of that account, or the administrator will be the one who will be able to create it. And as you know that you will have an IT team who will be building the solutions, developing the solutions, because the requirements will be passed on to them and they will start working on the solutions, building the solution. When they build it, they'll need to make use of it, right? So a user as a developer, when he is added into the system, there you will have an option to say that whether he is allowed to access the integration flows. So you just need to provide the access only to the appropriate developers who would be responsible for building the flow. So that option has to be given accordingly. And the details of the user management will be dealt in tomorrow's session. So I don't want to go deep into it. It's a mention. Then also inside the flow, now that you have seen, like when you are trying to create an application inside Creator 6, you have this entire lifecycle management where you develop, then you move it to, you publish it to testing phase, and then you publish it to production phase. So you will have various stages, various phases of this environment, in the environment. And if you take Zoho Flow, if you want to realize the components of the applications that you built in Creator, those components have to be published to production phase, definitely. Only then you can realize the changes, or you could realize the component itself in Zoho Flow. I will show you how, what I exactly mean by that. But this point you need to remember. So this is about a quick idea on the accessibility and how it can be used. Okay, then so now I'll straight away get into the platform. So this is a test account, my test account of Creator 6, where I have filtered only the integration flow. If you just see, I would have filtered only the integration flow alone, so that you will not be able to see other apps. So this is how your flows will look in the dashboard of Creator 6. Yeah. So what happens is, when I go, I say, say first I'm actually building a solution, and I'm going to build a form, sorry, an application, and I'm pushing it to the environment. And now I'm going to quickly create a form. Let me start from profile. I'm just randomly dragging the fields. Yeah, that's it. I say okay. So now I have the form ready. So now you would think it's possible to quickly get into the Zoho Flow and make use of this form, is what you will think. So we'll see what exactly happens. So I have the form with me. Let me put it this side. I have a form with me, and now I'm going to create Zoho Flow. And I'm going to create from scratch. and it's going to be a app-based flow trigger. And here again, please provide a proper flow name and description so that because the creation will be done by the administrator, and when the permission is given to the developer, he will be able to see all the flows that are available in that account. But he might be instructed to do only edit only certain flows, right? So he must be aware which flow he's actually touching onto. So it is always a better way to name the flows appropriately. So this is just for a training purpose. I'm making it little fast or quick. So now that we are into the flow, as I said, there are three types of triggers. Say, for example, I'm going to choose app-based trigger, and I want to choose creator because I just created a module. I want to see whether I'm able to realize it. And the kind of trigger I'm trying to give is I'll say this will be triggered when I try to add a record into that particular form, profile form. So you need to establish a connection, right? You are actually trying to use a product and you have to establish a connection with that product. So I already have few connections established. There is also a way by which you can create a new connection. So to make my process a little fast, I'm using whatever exists. And from the list, you could see all the applications that are available in my account. Even the sample that I created is available. Okay. So until this, you have a big hope that you would be able to make it. So you need to remember we just created an application and we added a form. It is in the environment. It is still not published. Right? Let me open that environment and show you where exactly we are as far as this particular module is concerned. So if you just stay into environment, can you see at the bottom the sample that we created? So it just says changes available. That means it's ready to be published. So if something has happened, it has to be moved to a next stage. Okay. So I'm going to the flow, thinking that I'm going to get a form, right? I need to know trigger. I need to set up the trigger for which. So to which form do I need to enter this data in order for this flow to get triggered is what I need to set up. So when you click on this arrow mark, you're not able to see any form. The reason is that because it is actually not published yet to production. So this is what I meant as the third point there, right? When I was talking about accessibility and usage, the components have to be published to production to be used inside Flow. Say you would have published it once to production, then you would want to make few changes in order to accommodate something inside Flow. There, if you don't republish it to production, those changes won't get impacted inside Flow. So you'll not be able to realize that data inside Flow. So always remember, not just only creation, any change that you make to the components of Creator, could be the forms, could be the reports, could be whatever main components inside the Creator, it has to be published. The workflows that you write has to be published and to production. It has to be taken to the production phase. And those things can be realized inside Zoho Flow. Okay, now that we saw the scenario here, let's go to the environment and I'll try to publish it. Sorry, first publish it to stage. So sample is the application that I have just created. And these are all the things that I did with a sample module. And I will say, sorry, added a module sample. Again, for ease of use, I'm just doing it simple, make it really, really descriptive. And you know the purpose of having this description and title, because versioning, the configuration management plays a real big role when it comes to building complex solutions. Unless and until you don't say for what purpose, what changes you made here, for the person who is working on next, it will be very difficult. Or even for the same person, he won't remember what he has done in this version. So to get a better picture of what all has gone into this particular version, it's always a good practice to mention the detailed description of the changes or addition that you make inside that particular application. I'm going to publish it. I published it to the environment. Yeah, we'll wait until it gets published. It's taking a little while. Yeah. Okay, good. So it got published to stage. So that means it is ready for testing. And where you using the demo users, you could do the testing. Okay. Now let's see whether we can publish it to production, because I want the production version, right? Only then I can use it in the flow. So I'm doing it immediately. So let's see what's happening. Yeah, good. So it got published. So that means I should be able to see that form here. Sorry, let me reload it. Yeah. So I'm clicking on the app based. I say I want to actually trigger it from the creator app while I'm creating a record. And I'm making use of the same connection that I already have. I'm going to choose the application. Now you could see the form. See? So previously you were not able to see the form. Now you're able to see the form that I published and brought it to production. So this way you can realize the components that you have created in as an solution as an application as a solution in the flows. So you get this. Then say the next step, you want to actually push the data into say maybe we can as well say, to quickly show you a component, I'm just saying notification. So let me take the super admin and give some user ID, even email address, and subject would be testing. If I want to make use of the data that has come in, right, on the trigger, on the right hand side, you have an option. You can see the components, what all has come in. So when I enter a data in that profile form, these are the fields that I filled into that form, right? So I'll be able to get those values. So you can simply just say this. So this is the way you can make use of the data. So I'm just quickly showing you for the notification, but the real purpose of it will happen only when you try to relate it with, say, another task or another application. For example, if I take CRM, so there in Zoho CRM, I want to actually create a module entry. So in this create module entry, I'm making use of the existing CRM connection, which I already have. I'm choosing a module, say leads, and I'm going to use the standard layout. The company is mandatory. So I don't have a field called company. Maybe if you have one, you can map it. Okay, the last name is mandatory. I'm going to map the name. So how do I do that? Just take the name field of the incoming trigger and place your cursor over there, click. That's it. So you are actually done with mapping the data. So that's all. So whenever you create a record here, you get a record in CRM. So these kinds of easy way of integrating stuff. This is a simplest one which I showed you. You could still achieve even a complex one with mere drag and drop and mapping of the fields, making use of the logic part which I told you, right? Creating a lot of custom functions, making use of custom functions. Then if you take the flow, the logic inside, you can set it as a variable, format it, set the value in it, use that variable across the flow. The scope is across the flow. Then decision. Here inside the decision, based on the decision to which you're attaching it to, it will have the fields, right? You can take the values of the fields, check the status, or whatever field criteria you want to check, and reroute your flow. All that can be done. Similarly, the delay. So when you pull the delay, it'll ask what delay you wanted. So when you just hover your mouse over this, you will be able to see the structure or the syntax for the delay that you could provide. But it's 2 minutes, you have to say 2 space minutes. So some kind of help, immediate help you could see. So these are the ways by which you could very closely work with the applications that you build as a solution inside Creator and make use of that to integrate with the rest of the other products, 650 plus products. In a mere configurable way, come to the builder, drag, drop, set it up. The only point that you need to remember is please take that particular application, the components, all the components in that application that you want to get realized inside the flow to production phase. That's all. So this is the way we actually, how quickly we would be able to set up an integration as a flow. Okay, now I will just show you a quick demo of some of the solutions that I had built with simple flows. So let me just get back to the presentation. This is what I'll be showing you as a first demo. That is, there is an entry into, say, entry into Creator at a high level. I would say entry into Creator would take the data, send it to Sign where I have a template. It will create a document and send that sign based on the instructions that I have given inside the sign to the respective signatories that will get signed. Once the signing process is complete, the signed document will be uploaded into WorkDrive. And once the WorkDrive job is done, I want to get back to Creator and get the external download link that I have created for the file inside the WorkDrive into the Creator's respective record. This is my idea. And coming to the business case, what you'll be seeing is employee contract. Say, for example, a person joins a company, need to sign an employee contract. So the data, the employee information will be fed into the Creator application, and that information will be mapped to, we have another task called send document to sign, which is all just with the mere drag and drop I have done it. So there inside I'll be mapping the required information. Then inside the sign I have a concept of setting up a destination folder. That is what I have done right now to make it look even more easier. That still can be made a little more dynamic, where you will have to drag and drop the rest of the other actions inside WorkDrive, where you will create folder. There is an action inside Zoho Flow under WorkDrive app. So you could make use of so many such actions and make it even more dynamic. What I'm saying is a sort of static. So that means inside the sign, I have a fixed folder defined in saying that whenever there is a sign that is happening, put it into this particular folder. So this is specifically for employee contract or particular use case. But in general, when you're building solutions, you would think of the dynamicity, where it could be like could be an agreement, it could be in contract, it could be some other supporting document. So depending upon the purpose, you would have had a template, you would have get the data from the Creator, fill in the template, sign it, and once the sign is done, you would want it to go to the respective folders. All that can be made dynamic by using more actions that are defined in the respective applications inside Zoho Flow. Okay, once that is done, there'll be a copy of the employee contract in the employee contract folder in WorkDrive, organization folder archive. Also, for the employee to access this application, he can just go and download it. So I don't want to maintain that file somewhere here or send it as an email to the employee. He can log into the application whenever he wants, he can download it. So that is what I have quickly built. So I will just show you how that works. So the application is organization management. Right now I don't have any record. And the big flow which I told you is I'm splitting this into two flows. So the first part would be until the data pushed into WorkDrive. The second flow would be from WorkDrive, how I create an external link and push it to Creator. So I'm making use of two flows back to back. So how it works is what we're going to see. So let's get into the first flow. As I said, entry into the record, it's a trigger. Then comes format date. So why I do that? Let's get into the sign for the template. I've got the template open here. Okay, let me open it from here itself. So I have got the employee contract template here, and I've defined, I have defined two signatories. The first one would be the HR manager who will be doing the sign. The second one would be the employee who would accept the contract. So I'm not defining any email address because I'm going to dynamically set it from within the flow. So these are the two people. Until these two people sign, I won't get this document stored in this work drive folder. So this is the folder where I'm storing it. That is inside the team folder called organization. I have a folder called employee contract, inside which I want to store the files. So this is the organization archive. Just imagine. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I showed you this. Now I'll show you the template, how exactly it looks like, which all needs to be pre-filled, which all has a signatory part, all that will be defined inside this document. So I have a date, which will be a current date. That will be a current date system variable. Then the name, which is taken from creator record, address from creator record. This is also taken from creator record. The first signature is the HR. So from here, you would understand that HR is the signatory part. And the second signature, the orange one, is the employee, which I've set here, and the rest of the other information. So this is my template. Okay. Let me quickly put an entry here. So according to this, I've written a workflow in such a way I get a unique employee ID generated using a random number built-in function. And I'm going to start with filling all the information so that you're able to see the entire document. That is the intention. And I'm giving a right email address so that he is going to be the employee who is going to sign it. Because the HR is a system admin of the creator account. So anyways, I'll get an email. Then this could be any dummy number because I'm not going to validate it anyways. Then let's say this is my joining date. So I filled in the information, employee information. I'm going to submit it. So once I submit it, the process go to the history. You can see something has got triggered. I hope this, see, this is what I entered, right? Or is the old record? Yeah, this is a new record, sorry. So this is what I entered. So employee number, which is uniquely generated. Then I put, these are the addresses that I typed, name of the employee, and all those information. So the record has been created very well here. Next, I'm formatting the date. Why do I write this custom function? That's because, see, I'm taking the system date. As far as the flow is concerned, the system date, when I'm trying to set the information in the send document, right? The first field, pre-fill field will be the system date. So if you take the system date, the format is YYYYMMDD. But the format of the creator account is slightly different. See if I can see it. It is in this format, DDMMMYYYY, or maybe in this application, it'll be totally different. So each and every application has got its own format that I set. I'll quickly see. Sorry. So this is the format that is set here as far as this application is concerned. So now I want to stick on to a standard format. That's the reason why I'm using a date conversion function, custom function. The rest of the values as I showed you how you can choose the respective component and set it. So when you use a custom function, it is going to return a string. You will get it as a return value. You can just go there and set it up. So that is how I've set the format. Okay. So this is the way I've set the information, and the employee who has to sign will be the creator record, right? Email address, which I sent to creator, and HR, you know that I've already set a value, which is the system admin. So that is the way I have configured stuff. So this is how it works. So now that this would have now sent me the sign document first to the HR, who is nothing but my system admin. Then also simultaneously, I'm trying to update the document name that is getting created by the sign. So that name would have got updated in the employee information. Let's have a look at it. So this is the record that I created recently. See, the document name has been updated very well here. Now let's go to the signing part. I would have got a mail. See, a notification has come in. And you can see the employee number, right? I'm saying, okay. And you can go through the details, whatever I entered. See, it is all auto-filled. The details that I entered is auto-filled and waiting for the first signatory. I agree. And say this is system admin. I'm putting a sign. Done. Next in line will be the employee. Let me go to his email address. He has got a request. Could see the number. And you can verify. He can just go through the document, see whether his data is right and whether the HR has already signed. It is his job to sign now. So, so now the documents are signed. The sign process is over. So what am I expecting next is from sign, I have a way to set up the destination folder. If you see here, you have something called automatic cloud backup. Just go to this, choose the folder where you want the sign to store the file, backup the file, signed document. So I've said inside my organization, employee contracts folder in the work drive, I want to store the file. So let's get there to see if I've got a file. See, this is the file which I got a second ago. That is 62272, right? That was the employee ID that created. You can click on it, have a look at it. Everything is fine. Both of them have signed. Yes, looks good. Now, the next thing is the second part of the workflow. What did I say? Once I get a file created, I wanted that to create a shared link and set it up in the creator back, right? So let me go to the creator. So what exactly happens here is this flow gets triggered whenever a file gets created in the work drive. And as this file creation in work drive is an automatic process because of the configuration which we made in sign, everything is going to be just like the sequential. You don't need to really worry about it. So what happens? This gets triggered as an app trigger. The rest follows. So here what I'm doing, first I'm getting the file. So what the file got created. So this will give me all the file information. And I have uniquely got the document name, right? Created inside the creator in the first flow. That is going to really help me to fetch that particular record. And I will check. This is just for my safety reasons. If the record already exists, then it is good to go. I will go and create an external link for the file ID and the file name that you got created in the work drive. And I would get the output of this will be a link, and that link I'm going to update in Creator. So let's see if this would have already got triggered. So we should be able to see if it works fine. So this is the link that you got from Word Drive. And on click of this, you would see the same document, see the employee number, the document name, and all the contents inside remains the same. So this way, I would say that things are working perfect. So I just wrote two flows. I triggered it at one point, and the amount of coding is nothing here, right? For this process to happen. So it is easily configurable. You can still, as I said, you can make it more dynamic by making use of more and more actions inside the flow. Just imagine you have all this feature all bundled inside, present inside your creator. Then how beautiful your integration process itself will look like, how powerful it will be. So that is what I want to show you this as an example. And I want to show you one quick example. I do have one file upload field. I just want to show you in some cases, people might prefer, I don't want any external work drive, any storage system. I want to store the file inside Creator, and I'm very sure that the file size is going to be small, and I want to put it only in Creator. There would be use cases like that. So for which, what we could do, we still have something called custom functions. I was telling you about the file upload stuffs and all, right? File handling. So I've just written a small custom function to quickly execute and show you how this could be uploaded into Creator directly from Sign. So the job of this custom function is I have a sign API where I'll be passing the request ID of the document. I can download it and then upload it into the creators because I do have the creator record ID in my hand. So as a with this content type set, I will set this into my creator account. So in both the cases, in the API calls that I make, I'll be making use of connection string that can be very well created. So this will show you the list of connections that are created so far for the integration flow. But what you see inside microservices would be the connection strings that you have created in order to establish a seamless integration through your integration task or some kind of API call, invoke URL that you do from within your application workflow. So you need to really remember the difference between those two. So if you want to see the connection list that you created for the integration flow, that would be available only here. Or from, I will show you another place where you can go and see. Okay. So this is done. So I'm just going to quickly execute and show you how this upload works. Okay. So let's go to the document. So I have a document that has got created. 62272 is the document. I'll click on it. I will take the request ID with me and that's it. And I have my creator record ID 2 with me. Done. See, it says the file got uploaded. So let's anyways go and check it. So this is the record. This is the external link. This is the document name and you can see the file. Click off it. You get a preview of the document, a signed document, which can be downloaded, can be viewed, whatever. So this is how, just with the two quick flows, how we are able to establish the entire process of, see, there are three products talking to each other, right? The Zoho Creator, the Zoho Sign, and Zoho Work Drive. So all that is possible. So this has made our job much more easier to think about when you think that integration flow is going to be part of Creator. Okay? So this is one example which I wanted to show you as far as the app-based trigger is concerned. And the next example which I wanted to show you would be the webhook-based trigger, right? I was telling you about webhook-based trigger. So one typical example would be in webhook-based triggers, normally it's like you have a flow that is, see, this is the flow, okay? This is the flow. And the job of this flow is to take the product information from creator and push it to commerce, and not just only pushing the product information but also uploading the images which are uploaded inside creator. Okay, what is that one typical thing which I wanted to do with webhook here is that it's not just record by record I'm going to do this. I'll be from the creator end, it'll be like I'll be selecting multiple records, but the action is only one. But inside the webhook, the integration flow, what actually happens is that this entire flow that you're seeing here, right, gets executed so many number of times. If I select 5 products and click on button, here the flow is triggered based on the webhook which I've written, the call that I've written, and this entire flow will be executed 5 times. So that means in one click, I'm able to push all the 5 products to commerce. But the job done by flow is 5 times. So there is a feature inside webhook where you can see that inside the advanced settings, you have something called trigger flow for each entry. So this is the catch behind that small thing that I was talking about, passing JSON array in the payload. It's not just one element. You can pass set of elements, and you can instruct the integration flow, the Zoho flow, to say execute it so many number of times. If I have 5 elements, execute it 5 times. If I have 10 elements, execute it 10 times. That is why I said one important thing you need to remember is see to it that this logic or this feature is not used all the time. Because if you're going to have more number of records, then you're going to consume more and more number of tasks. See to it you are within your plan. You're able to define the process well within your plan. The way, say, for example, in 1 month, you could only consume 3,000 tasks per user, per organization, then stick on to that kind of a design and then use these features. So always remember that also. So these are all the possibilities I could say. Then to use it is up to the developers plan. Okay. So this is what I want to show you in a nutshell. Now I'll execute it and show you. So what I've done is, see, in this product I have actually a form called product information management application, which I have products form. I have just replicated all the features that could be moved to commerce product. Okay. So I'm just filling to, I have 2 records already, and I have the images also set inside the creator. So I have a custom action that I have written. I'm selecting the products, and let me check that there are no images, so that it should be very clear that it is only pushed now. That's why. So I missed it. Yeah. So I've selected it, and I have a custom action on the top for the set of rows, okay, for multiple records. So I'm expecting that there are 2 products in line, and that is what is sent as the request call to this flow. Let's go to the history. Okay, good. So one has got completed, another one is delayed. Hope it doesn't fail. Okay, let's wait still. So meanwhile, this one part which has got completed, right? Let's go and visit it. See, one item has come in already. So, and also I think both the items I've mentioned as available and to be shown in stores. To show in store is true. That means I have the store site. I will refresh it. Let me come all the way down. Yes, one product has come in. What happened to the other product? Sometimes it's also possible that it will not be able to complete. That's why I said using this logic, this feature, you should be very careful in providing a delay. Otherwise, it will end up in failed case also for the delay. So create product error. The request action could not be completed. See, I told you, right? So this has to completely, it'll go to, when the requested action is, when it says the error that requested action is not completed, then there, once it fails, right, you will be given an option to select the product and rerun it. So that option would occur if it fails. Yeah, good. It got completed successfully. So that means this product also should have been pushed. Good. You got that product too. So let's go to the store site, because that is also true, right? That's also available. So this way, this is one example which I wanted to show you how you could use multiple elements or JSON array in your payload when you are using webhook triggers in Zoho Flow or integration flows within Creator 6. So we do have something called web-based trigger. I was telling you, right, a domain custom URL. So for that custom URL scenario, I think I have one flow which is defined. Let me check. Solutions. Okay, let me quickly create one then. Okay, I'm going to create a solution, integration flow from scratch. It is like for webhook. Okay, so here again, instead of choosing app, I'm going to do web. Okay, and it's a form data. I'll copy this, do next, and inside, let's get into the workflow, employee management. Okay, I want to create some custom actions so that I can quickly show you how this webhook works. So for which I'll create a function. Verify number. So I have this custom URL defined by the Zoho Flow for me for this webhook. Then I have to form the map data of the payload which I'll be sending, so that will be realized inside a Zoho Flow. So payload.put, I have contact number, and here I'm going to make use of this form. And that form will have phone number, so the form name is employee. Sorry, I'm working in a wrong application. Leave this. Now let me come to the solution part. Okay, I'm gonna create it. Okay, so in the employee management, I'm taking the edit access, and in the workflow, I think I already have one. Okay, here. So, s underscore URL equal to, this will be the custom URL which I'll be using, and this will be the employee profile is the name of the form. Save file. Now let's get into solutions. I'm going to create a solution. As an integration flow from scratch, webhook. You can give a better description. And I'm going to choose the trigger type as webhook, and it is a form data. I'm copying it. I'm putting that URL here. Then I'll have to really test it, right? So I have this, close it. Next, I said I'll need a payload app. Sorry. So I have a payload. Then I'll just say payload dot put contact number is this profile dot the phone number. Now this entire thing is ready. Now let me post the webhook call. Post URL, where I'll be passing this URL as a first argument and my payload as my second argument. That's it. I hope. Yes. So now when I pass this as a this one mobile, let me take the employee information. Employee management. Okay, so let me go to employee management. Access it in production. Do I have a record already? No. This is important. Here I want to verify this number. That's the only thing. So okay, and apart from this, there's one more thing which I need to do. Now what I will do is, anyways, for my testing purpose, I'll just put the ID in place, and I'll also write a quick action. Say at record level, I'm just going to say verify number. This is a report workflow which I'm trying to create, and I will map it to the function which I've written already. Yeah, map it to the field and say okay, done, create. So that's there. Now I'll include that into the so that will be the custom action which I've included. Now that I made so many changes, again, you would definitely know that I need to come and publish it. Otherwise, I'm not going to realize that inside, right? Wait a minute, just to make sure. Yeah, stage, employee management, proceed. So these are the changes that I made. Proceed. Action. Publish. Go to environment. It has gone for testing. Okay, let's wait for it to complete. So the idea behind what I'm trying to do is have a custom action in the employee profile report. On click of it, taking that phone number, it will go into a flow for verifying with a Twilio. Yeah, I'm trying to integrate with Twilio. I think at the stage it is done. Let me take it to production. Done. Yeah, good. So it's done. Now, if I go to my report, I'll be able to see that record ID, which I wanted, and a custom action, which is available ready, right? So now what I will do, just we need to quickly first for this, it's waiting for hook, right? So let's first try to trigger it and see whether I'm getting the right data. Otherwise, no point in executing that flow at all. Execute it. An employee ID. Let's go to the webhook. The contact number is empty. I'm sorry. It's getting executed from the development environment. I'm very sorry. Let me quickly trigger it from the production itself to see whether the webhook works. Okay. Here, I should have done it. Test it. See, you got the contact number, right? So now let's be done and let's get into yo. Okay, in Twilio, I'm trying to send an SMS, and I do have an account with the default number available in it. From the webhook, I'm taking the payload, the contact number, test message sent from creator 6. Oh, so I've got this. Now let's write a quick logic so that we will know what exactly is happening. So when it fails, so I'll just say from this account, I'm going to send it to say 10@zoho.com verification failed. Okay. When it is verified, it's successful. Then I will just give a little delay to fetch the information. So I'm going to give a delay of say a minute. So if you just hover over it, you will see the format in which you can actually define the delay. Then my delay is set. The next thing that I need to do would be go to the apps and fetch the message. So the SMS ID I will get from here. Set the SMS ID. I'm done. Next, once I'm done fetching the message, I would need to do a decision if it is already queued or something. So the rest of the flow continues. I just don't want to drag it any further. So I'll enable this flow. Now you have a flow for this particular scenario, right? So let's check if something is working. So I'll go here. I'll say verify and let's get to the history. So I think it has got successful to some stage. It has got hold of the number. It has sent that number. See, it is able to put it in queue. That means it is trying to reach out to that number. Let me also check my mobile. I have got a message. Yes, I do have a message delivered to my mobile number, and the delay of 1 minute is given. Just to make sure that the status, you are able to see the status here, right? The status. I want this to be changed to delivered to make sure that number is reachable. Only then I want to do the rest of the other action. It could be either moving that person to CRM, verified person, or bringing him into your portal application, or whatever is your workflow that you would think of, your business case. So it'll take some time. So this way, from this entire flow, what I'm trying to say is how this webhook can be used. So if you take these custom actions and all, if you want it as an app flow, app-based web trigger, you could still do it. Only thing is that you will have to change some field, and the trigger is based on the update in a particular record. You need to get the hold of that record with a unique field name. So that will be actually part of a flow. But if to start with triggers like this, situations like just from within creator, what you would eventually do is say you have a custom action, on click of it you want to trigger something, get go with the webhook call. Okay? So that way we are able to achieve it. So good, the process is complete. So it has gone, fetched the message, and the status shows delivered. So this is one other example which I would like to show you for establishing an integration with a third party application. So you could see how quick it was to get certain integrations done, right, at ease, without too many lines of coding. There were few lines of coding in the custom function which I showed you, definitely, but that is a need where you need to do it. But otherwise, even that, you can handle it in the integrations like this. It will be a quick, quite easy, right? Just to go map the field. But one thing you need to remember, how you are using it as a solution within Creator 6. That's the power of it. You would have used Zoho Flow as a separate service. Yes, the working, the components, everything would be the same. What you see as Zoho Flow as a service. But when it comes along with the Creator, so Creator is providing it as a solution. So, and definitely it says that you don't need to have a separate license. It's going to be part of it. It's going to be provided as a solution within Creator 6 itself. Means based on the plan, you will have the number of tasks that you can execute, what all features of Zoho Flow that you can use, all that will be well defined. So you just need to just go manage the show from within your Creator platform. That's all. Creator dashboard. So this is the dashboard where within solutions, you could see various flows. You can just filter the integration flows alone. So you can see different flows that has been created and how that can be put into use and how you can manage that from within a central point. Next, I was talking about the users, right? Who could do what? So I just had a quick one user which I've added to the system, and this user I've given him allow the integration. I was telling you that the user as a developer, he has to be a developer, and he will be given integration access. So whenever you're defining a user, you make sure that what type of user he is it going to be an application user? You don't need to give him this integration access and all. But if he's a developer, he definitely is going to be part of the IT team who will have to modify the flow as per the changes that comes in within the requirement. So those are the ways that you need to plan well when you are setting permissions for the users. So this is one other important point which I would like to emphasize here. So now that you have this user 150, right? I do have that user with me, and he is this user. So this user, I've said I will give him for this user, the option is I am giving him development rights for organization management application, and he can access all the flows. So that is his scope. Okay, let me just refresh this person's dashboard. And normally you have the way to go and see from the shared workspace what he can access. So in a shared workspace, you could see just only one app. You had so many apps here, right? In your environment here, you had so many apps, but I have defined the scope for this particular developer, saying that he could only add so many apps are there. Only the organization management app has been shared with this guy. So this person can only do development over that app and all the flows that has been defined inside. So this is the last point which I would like to mention as part of the flow. So these are the two examples which I wanted to show you how you can easily construct an integration environment and get going with just focusing on building a proper solution. That's all. How best to build a solution. So you should not be really worried about writing lines and lines of code. Wherever necessary, try to make these use features into use. That's all. It will ease your work. Your maintenance is also low, and you don't need to spend hours together diagnosing your code, testing your code again and again, moving to different phases, and then bringing it to production, and then seeing the actual working model. Right? So that way, I think this integration flow, providing the Creator 6 providing integration flow as a solution, will be a real advantage, where you would really take the advantage of using this feature in order to set up a complete integration environment. So these are the two demos which I would like to show. So now let's get back to the presentation. It's nothing much to talk about it. That's it. Yeah. So, what I was the best practices. So, this is the most important thing which we need to remember. I'm just repeating it again and again because I'm actually addressing the developer group. So that means when you're building a solution, you need to remember these things when so that you don't either get exhausted with the tasks or the API calls, or that you don't bring in any performance issue, right? So you need to keep all this in mind when you're trying to set up a solution. So one is formatting. Always remember when you're using integration flows, when you're using it across applications, remember what date format is required, perform those conversion and then send it so that you could avoid the failures of the flow. Second thing is the flow loops. When I say flow loops, now I showed you one example with two flows, right? To execute a single use case, I showed you two flows because I have multiple products there in place. There, you see to it that whenever you're writing multiple flows, don't make one flow dependent on the other, in the sense especially on creation of record. Say you would be writing a flow. When you create a record in this, you would want to create a record in some other form, but you will be creating another flow where the trigger point itself will be creation of the record in that second form. So that would become indefinite, right? That will call this and this will call that, and it keeps going on and on. There is no end to it. So it should not lead there with the indefinite flow loop options. So you should avoid it. So think wise when you're for creating flows. Then usage of custom function, as I told you, wherever necessary, stick onto it. You don't write custom functions one followed by a custom function two, and the second custom function takes the value from one. In that case, don't write it as two different tasks. Put everything into a single custom function because each one will be considered as a task. Also, second thing, try to make use of custom functions for some minimum use unless and until there is a disparate scenario where you need to do the file handling or you need to do the line. I think for line items it's going to be definite, you will need it, but at least for file handling, see to it that you don't need to really use it, but this is there is a way to do it, that is all. Also, the naming of the flows and the descriptions. Please do give a proper name for the flows because everything is going to be available in a single centralized dashboard. And when you're going to share this or give permission for the developers to work on the flows, it's like they'll be looking into all the flows, everything in one place. So they should be aware of which flow they are actually going and touching. If they go by mistake and mess around with the flow there, the entire business flow stops, right? So that's the reason why I'm saying give a proper naming convention. And inside the integration flows, whenever you try to drag and drop the actions, right, see to it that it is not a deprecated task. You would see the real-time tasks, you would see the polling task, you would see the deprecated tasks sometimes. So when you have this deprecated tasks, see to it that when you're not using it, find out some relevant an equivalent task which is available and use it so that your maintenance time will be reduced. Otherwise, once it gets deprecated, it stops working, your flow stops working. That's all. So with this, we are coming to the end of the session, and we have a session tomorrow on managing the accounts in Creator 6 at 9 p.m. IST. So please do attend. You can make use of the same link. It's a recurring session link. So you can make use of the same link and take part in it to get to know about the managing aspects of this particular in Creator 6. So have any questions, please post it. I'll leave the session open. And if you have any further queries, like offline queries you want to ask, you can reach out to us on these email addresses: partnersolutions at zohocreator.com, partnership at zohocreator.com, and partnersupport at zohocreator.com. So I thank you all once again